Okay, we are live. Welcome to FMA discussion number 12. Tonight we are featuring Viko Perrine of Kalis Illustrisimo, who I'm going to bring up now. Hey there, sir.
Hi, Dean. How are you? Thanks for having
Good. I
me.
want to thank you so much for agreeing to come on and do this. I really appreciate it. And as you can tell, when I was advertising it, I got a ton of questions. So definitely a lot of enthusiasm so far.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good thing. I think anyhow. So what I'd like to do is just before we jump into kind of what you're doing and all that, I always like to just kind of get like a background of pre-FMA. Did you do like stuff before you kind of jumped into the weapons?
Yes, I did. I think it was probably most kids end up
Yep.
doing in the beginning. Some taekwondo as a green orange belt in that. There was also karate do. I was doing that in the Philippines as well. My brother, you know. Um, but those were just yeah. There was those. That was my entry to martial arts, really. And then transitioned to Bakbakan, really, in 1991, 92. Yeah.
So just before we get into that, how old were you then?
Oh my gosh, I have to use my math now.
Mhm.
But I was probably, how old was that? I was a freshman turning to sophomore. So I was born in 76, so 80, yeah,
Oh, so
like,
high school.
yeah, high school, maybe 15.
Oh, okay. So in high school you were wow. So as far as like not so much the traditional, you kind of got into the more combative stuff at for that time frame, earlier
Yeah,
age, like most of us.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
so all right, so you did all that. So then circa around 91, as you mentioned, is when you well, I guess before we get that, when was I know you just mentioned Bakun, but what was your first, exposure to the system? When and who, I guess.
Okay, so Bakbakan I was by invitation only, and that was through two elder brothers of mine. I call them brothers, older brothers, seniors in Bakbakan. That was through Miguel Zubiri and Monsieur del Rosario.
Okay.
Um, and I think at the time we were there was two areas where we were training. One was obviously in Master Tupper's house, which was a bit far from where we're staying, but it was in Makati at the YMCA club in
Okay.
Makati. Yeah. And yeah, so that was it. And the first day, I sparred with another brother, Rafi Montilla, uh, full contact sparring on my first day. And yeah, that's how Master Tupper actually just checks if you have a heart to fight, and if you don't have it, he'll make sure that it comes out
So
in
you
time.
had to be,
So
I'm
that was,
guessing, 15.
yeah, 15, and that was a lot of, so maybe the first 2 years was all the empty hands. So we had our foundational drills, which is the Sagasa movement. Um, that's all about just pretty much Doc Langson's sort of drills, and
Okay.
also a fighting principle or sort of a fighting philosophy. That's another discussion. So we did Sagasa. That was what they call the boring part of the whole experience, because you're just repeating Sagasa movements.
Yeah.
And then we moved to kickboxing. So that was about 2 years. But already at that time, you have to remember, Bakbakan is a not a martial art; it's a brotherhood.
Okay.
So that meant that we had Mang Tony Diego coming in, right?
Oh, so he would
He would
visit
come in, yeah.
more like
Master
guest.
Ricketts was be visiting the Philippines. He would be there too.
Okay.
Alex Go as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was part of Bakbakan. Rolly Maximo, who's also a karate guy. There was, I mean, Bakbakan was a huge, a brotherhood of martial artists, right? There were, there was a whole lot. Guro Roland Dantes, right, was there.
Wow.
Right? So it was great to see I mean, that's my deepest and fondest memory of that time, and it was a long time where all the brothers were all our masters were under one roof, in sync, uh,
Mm.
where innovation started coming out. Bakun was full of innovations,
Just
right?
so at this time, I mean, you're young, 15, 16, 17. Did you realize at that age, like what greatness that you had around you, like what was really going on?
No, and I did not. I did not.
Yeah,
I
I don't
was
think that's
there because
all yours. I don't think anybody would
I
at that
have
age.
to tell you the reason why I came there was because my father wanted to discipline me. So he was French. So Miguel, we're kind of like neighbors from the hometown of Mindanao. He's in the southern district of Bukidnon. We're in the central district. So, and him and his dad and my father and his father were friends. So he said, I need to kind of discipline my son. He's kind of like a hothead, and he needs to channel his energies better. Because I
God,
came there without knowing anybody, any of the history. Um, and but yeah, so that's how it came to be, and so I took a beating on my first day.
wow.
uh,
Okay, so
but I fought, and I think
yeah,
I still fought. I mean, I didn't stand
yeah.
around.
Obviously, I mean, you were there, so you did. So I just wanted to just acknowledge Mike Frazier and Dave said hi.
Ah,
They're watching live. Thanks, guys.
brothers,
Um,
where are you? Miss you guys.
so you're doing this. So again, so the first couple of years, it's more kind of the empty hand aspect and all
Hmm.
that, and you got guests coming in.
Hmm.
At
They,
what
they were not just they were part of the group. Huh? They were
okay.
members.
I'm sorry, part of the
Yeah, yeah.
group.
And they would actually, so Alex Cole, like once they'd come in, that's when, we'd have, okay, Mount Tony's here. Okay, so let's do some Illustrissimo, right? Um, Alex Cole's here. Let's do some Mocho, right? Um, okay, so it was like that, right?
Okay.
And they would bring, some of their friends, their connections in, and then we spar. We just sparred.
Yeah.
Literally, we sparred. And sometimes the warm up was what, 2 minutes, and
Yeah.
then sagasa, and then sparring, right?
Wow.
I have to tell you a story real quick, but we used to try to circumvent the sparring because it would be so painful. He would call us in. Master Tupper would call us, and I went to high school with uniforms, right? So I would come in out of respect, but I would be wearing my slacks and my leather shoes, and my tied up. I hope he sees me. That I'm so dressed up that I won't have to spar. And then the next thing you know, I'm taking my shirt off and I'm fighting
Oh my gosh.
going at it with some guy, who's a guest from some other country, or maybe
Right. Right.
security of like. I remember we fought the head of security from the Italian embassy, things like that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
So then, is it fair to say again? I know it's all under one umbrella of the people that were coming in. So, but far as the weapon aspect of
Mm.
KI, was it fair to say then with Mang Tony's visits, is that kind of where you got your first
Yes,
exposure?
that's correct. That's correct. So Mount Tony would visit. He'd come in, and we would train with him. Um, some drills, some basic movements, just some really essential movements. Um, and and yeah, that was my first flavor, right? Sooner or later, up to a certain point, I asked, Master said, "Can we get into it a little bit more?" And that's where just some more individual training there. Um, it was kind of unfortunate. So, in my sense, kind of like I missed out because, see, I would see Tata, right? A few times when we go to Luneta. Now, a lot of my brothers know this. We would do demonstrations in Chinatown, and usually in that demonstrations, we would all gather in Luneta where Tatam would be, and then we would go to, I think it would be a some sort of a auditorium, and do demonstrations there. Yeah.
So the demos you were doing, were they more along the lines of Sagasa and
Yes,
okay,
Sagasa and sparring, right? And at that time, I think it would be more of the senior guys like Miguel and Benny, Dodong, and then Tom, right? Master Tom Ditang. He would also be in those demos too. Yeah.
so then all right, so you get your first exposure, guy, Master. When when did you officially meet, I guess, Tatang?
Gosh. So maybe 94, 93.
So when you met him, like, did you get the opportunity to kind of move around with him?
No, that was kind of sacred for, I was a young buck. I saw his movement, but I can tell you something that I won't forget though. If you ever look into his eyes, he has what some may call a death stare.
Really?
Yeah. He sees past you.
Wow. So even as the age you were at, just outside looking in, just as an observer, you were able to see that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It just like your
Man,
lifeless, right?
Jeez.
Yeah. That's one thing that you'll pick up from him, though.
So
Besides his
even
long
though,
arms and his long fingers.
so even though he, like, again, I can only attest from the videos I watched. I mean, at times he would seem jovial and kind of joking and all that. But so even though you didn't get a chance to move around with him, you would see him move, correct, with whomever.
Yeah, the movement. Yeah, not long enough to know, but yes, when we were there, I'd see his movement, and at that time, really, to be honest with you, it's like that's the same movement I'd be doing when Mang Tony was teaching, Master Tony, Mang Tony was teaching, right?
When he would come visit.
Yeah, just the basic, But now that I look back, there was more to that. There is actually more to that, and we can talk about that later on in the next questions. But he was just direct, straight, never arched his back, always had his back straight. Most of the time was dressed like a gentleman. Okay.
Yeah, like it's not like he was wearing sporting.
No.
Yeah.
Long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
He would move, and then if something get ruffled, he would fix himself. Nice leather shoes, slacks. He's a gentleman, dressed like a gentleman.
And then basically hitting people a quarter of his age.
Yeah. That's it.
Wow.
That's the experience. It was. I kind of feel a little bit of regret that I wasn't so aware. I was more on fight with my hands.
Yeah, I know, but you mean in your defense, if I was your age, I probably wouldn't have understood the magnitude, what was like right in front of me, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot of other people who would come in obviously did their research and knew exactly who was in front of them
and what they wanted or wanted to experience.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was training 3 times a week. It was there.
Wow. So like you just observed David, like never was like even introduced to him. You're just.
Yeah. No, I was introduced. I remember, but as a group, we respected him.
Yeah, I got you. Right.
Definitely the aura around him. No?
Yeah, that's one consistent thing you kind of hear. Yeah, just that aura. Yeah. Wow. So then, okay, so all right, so just backtracking a little before we get to the next question. So it looks like you're starting to see some of the weapons via GM Tony coming in and all that. At what point did you like totally, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but will you totally put emphasis on KI?
Gee, okay. That would be total emphasis, hard to say, but a good balance between 50-50, both the Sagasa, because I Sagasa movement and the kickboxing. I would say 98.
So 98, you began to really put some attention toward.
Yeah, 97, 98. And the reason being is that I was going to go to Israel. So I actually lived there for a year. Before I left, kind of like I asked Master, can we do some more of the weapons? So that's when, right? Because then because that's what I felt I had to take with me when I lived in Israel for a year.
Okay. So that's when you made it more of a priority, I guess, per se.
Mm-hmm.
So then when you made it more a priority, is this kind of when your study is being more done with GM Ricketts?
Yes, mostly, yeah.
Okay, so all right. So when we get in there, so I guess as far as GM Ricketts, when you started doing this, and again, I know you got a little exposure from GM Tony. What did you like? I mean, like, what did he? What was his style, or what did he try to really instill in you as a student? I guess you know.
This is Master Ricketts.
Correct. Correct.
Well, the first thing he does is he tries to instill the fighting spirit.
The fighting spirit. Okay. Okay.
And that's done from day one, and that's done in many different ways, right? He is a stickler for form.
Like in your position and what have you.
So whether it be in the weapons or in the empty hands, the form is very important. The hip movement, very important, right? And then the sparring, right? So that's where the fighting spirit comes. He would get so pissed if he saw you giving up, like just letting the guy hit you.
Really?
Right? He would say, "Okay, 2 more rounds for you." Right. It is like that. So it comes out, right? That's one. Number two, the fundamentals, the repetition of the fundamentals, whether again in kickboxing or sagasa, and in KI, the fundamentals, right? And there's fundamentals for both different styles, so both categories of fighting, right? Between KI and right, but fundamentals, and you repeat it. And he does, and the way he does it is he'll do it in a boxing style where you have rounds, like 3-minute rounds, like a 3-minute round. So round repetition, even the strikes, repetition. But then checking your form, huh? At the same time.
Right.
Yeah, checking your form.
Right. So, and this is actually a question from Dave. Did his prior extensive background, martial arts, boxing, and everything else, did that have an impact on far as his methods and what he emphasized to you as students?
Yes. In many different ways, not just boxing, but the ngocho, right, and the sagasa. So he knew the importance of distance, right? Keeping proper distance for both safety and effectivity of the strike.
Yeah.
Conditioning, the importance of being in condition, not running out of air.
Yeah.
Right? That's the boxing side, right? Yeah. You got to be in condition, right? There's the importance of there's very particular things like keeping your again I can talk about, but keeping your elbows in.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and that's something that you'll notice in KI. It's like your fighting form is your elbows are in.
You're
like
right, correct. Yeah.
And at the same time, ngocho is also elbow in. See?
Okay.
So that whole fundamental thing of keeping the elbow in, the elbow neck very close to number one, the body, where the power comes in.
Okay.
Right. And then so that's the influences that came in. And also, like if as soon as you have your elbow out, that's a gap. See? And that's a target. You see?
Yeah, no, understood. Yeah.
So that's, you can have your elbow out, but there's a difference between having elbow out this way and there's a gap versus still having your elbow in, but then still, but then extending for long range.
Right.
Okay. It's not out, you see?
Correct.
So this is the thing. Boxing's the same thing, right? Coming in like this. It's so there's these things that's influenced.
Yeah, definitely some parallel as far as keeping in tight.
Yeah.
Definitely.
No, tightness is different. Yeah, not you're
not like right.
Yeah. You have to be relaxing your elbows. Yeah. So there's a lot, and then also with the empty hands as well.
Yeah.
The empty hand when it comes to your left hand, your empty hand versus the weapon hand, right? It's almost just as vital, right?
Right.
And the ngocho's there too. Like when you tap somebody, you're just not tapping. No, you tap and you really push.
Yeah, have an effect on them. Should their posture.
There's the ngocho touch to that as well. So
then, what do you like? Far as that, like you kind of touched on it. Were there were there, I mean, things he really, I know you mentioned he was a stickler for form and all that. Other things that he really emphasized, like that were just really because common themes.
In terms of thinking, you have to be committed. So one of the things he says is you have to be true to yourself, right? What does that mean? Well, if I'm going to throw a strike, that strike is completely deliberate.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's deliberate. Once you commit, you're committing.
Okay.
Right? Half-hearted. That's why, when he spars, he says, when we spar, okay, go 100%. Because if someone's going 50%, or let's say you're going both 50%, then all of a sudden someone goes 100% out of reaction, the guy who's going 50% will get hurt. So
right. He didn't bring up that percentage of resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then we protected ourselves, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's what he very emphasized, that is being true to yourself. And that has to do with, yourself spiritually, but also when it comes to your striking.
Your intent.
Everything is deliberate and calculated.
Okay.
Right. What else did he emphasize? Form, again, is number one. Respect. I mean, okay, I'm talking about also, he emphasized a lot of respect for with each other as brothers, no? But yeah, those are the things at the top of my head. But stickler for form, getting the fundamentals down before you get to any other advanced level.
Okay.
Repetition, conditioning, fighting spirit. Yeah.
Great. So, all right. So now, how? I know he was your primary. Is that fair to say, as far as KI?
Mm-hmm.
During this time, were you pretty much just with him? Was there overlap where GM Tony came in, or?
Definitely overlap. They were. Mang Tony was living in the Philippines. Master Tupert already at some point in 2004 was living in the States.
Yeah.
I was living in Australia, but I would visit the States and I also visit in the Philippines. So when I was depending on what country I was in, I would be training accordingly.
Oh, okay.
And some people know this. Sometimes they would have little arguments between themselves, but something is, they will always say, if you go to the States, go see Master Tupper, pay your respects, train under him, vice versa.
Ah, okay.
Right? People said, go see Mang Tony Diego, train under him. Even though sometimes there be periods where they wouldn't be talking to each other, you will get that kind of respect. I mean, they would
fight maybe if they
they train under,
had some friction or whatever.
Yeah, whatever little tiffs they have,
Yeah. Wow.
But that is something that they weren't selfish that way.
Well, that's wow. Well, that's
and that has to do, my opinion, that has to do because they were all brothers. They were on
right. They all came up under the same roof, so to speak. Yeah. So then, first, so when you would go back there, you would train with GM Tony. When Master Topher moved to the States, is that?
That's right.
Okay. So, how much time, just generally speaking, did you spend with GM Tony? I mean, years. Not that it.
Oh gosh, I mean, if I put it all together, every time I was in the Philippines, I would train with him.
Okay.
Till he left us, right? And then in the States, when I was in the States, then I trained with Master Tupper.
Oh, so you gained the best of both worlds. Okay.
Yeah.
As far as what as far as GM Tony, what was his approach to KI? Like what would he, I guess, so to speak, stress or what have you?
Pretty much the same. So first of all, also a stickler for form, number one, right? These gentlemen had different heights. They had different backgrounds, right? So it would be representative of their movements. Okay. Maybe Master Tony would have more of a blade influence a little bit, whereas Master Tupper, you could mix both. But
blunt weapon and
yeah, and a
okay.
blunt, right? But doesn't mean that Master Tony doesn't know how to use a stick. He actually can set. He can. I very clearly says this is the movement for the blade, but this is the movement for the stick. Just
Okay.
just small nuance, and you will see that and this is what the difference also in Tatang as well. He knew when he was holding a stick, he knew that there was a certain different technique in throwing
Right.
a blade,
Okay.
and he would also a blade. But when he would hold a blade, it's oh my god, it's just
Yeah, I mean, as you see on the YouTube videos, right?
different level. Yeah.
So then, what? I guess among the two, because obviously you were spending time between the both bars where you were geographically speaking, where you were living at the time. Similarities in their approaches,
Any similarities?
or differences?
Um, Gosh. Yeah, it's pretty much in one big sense. Just how you warmed up. Master Tupu would always like you to warm up with the sagasa. Just to get your blood going.
Oh, okay.
You know, and then some Master Tuper will have. They created they have a lot of them have different drills, same drills. They would know the Australia drill, they would know all the drills, and sometimes they make up their own drills and they would share it with each other. Master Tuper had his set of drills where he incorporated the philosophy of having a series, that's from Sagasa, like series 1, series 2, series 3.
Oh, so that influence
Master
is
Cooper, yeah, in order for the dissemination of the student to understand the concept of KI, he also then said, okay, let's do series 1, series 2, series 3 for KI.
Oh, okay.
Right? It was, it was just a different, yeah. And then Master Tony had a different set of drills to get for someone to incorporate the style. But they're all the same, but they're all the same concepts. Is that different
just how they, I guess, went about getting
and to be honest with you, with KI, you could actually create your own once you're in a certain level, your own drill. But you have to be very careful. You have to have it checked.
Yeah.
That you're not augmenting the fundamentals, right?
Right. Okay.
Because there's a free play. There's a sense of free play with it, and that's what lends itself to that. Yeah.
Just now, within respects to both of them, like what were generally like if you were kind of doing feeding, receiving, and all that, whether it's contra and all that, but like generally speaking, what were the footwork that was more emphasized than not? What particular ones?
The long range footwork was very, very emphasized.
So advanced, retreat, advanced.
Retirada, right?
Yep. Okay.
Retirada with a different consciousness it's not purely for retreating. Okay, you're retreating in order to expose to create a gap.
To create the opening post, either during or post strike.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Correct. Like a person is most vulnerable in the middle of a strike.
Okay, right.
Right, that's when you're open, right? You're committed, and then you got all these open parts to you. So how do you draw that out of your opponent? Right, so you feint, right, or you may open something up. So retirada pretty much is like you're retreating because you've got him to commit to something. You're retreating so that you're first of all staying clear of the strike, but you're also attacking at the same time.
Right, because you're drawing his attack while you're also reading.
Yeah. But you're paying, right? And really, and that retirada is you can have I think 1 month on that subject altogether.
Yeah, just the value of the long range, right?
Yeah,
And how to,
right. Yeah, and that, and then the, the tatlong bao, right? The mid range movements, which is what they say is the, the more nicer looking, nicer looking from the outside,
yeah.
nicer looking from the outside movements, because long range kind of looks boring, but gosh, it's one of the favorites of Tatang.
No, because I mean, right. I mean, if you're taking the hand, compromising the grip and all that, yeah. No, so when you refer to Talamboa, so you got the open triangle, and what were some of the other variations within that?
Oh gosh, well, yeah, well, pretty much, you'll have, I can't show you the footwork, right? But it's, you always want to make sure that, so you have the tatlumba, which is moving to the side, um, and then you'll have moving strictly to the side, meaning directly one line to the side,
Okay.
or you're stepping to the side, but you're also stepping a little bit closer, and those have little nuances
Right.
depending on the context of what's happening. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, it's like, so if this is the the V here,
Correct.
right? Like, sorry, so if this is the V here, okay, I get there,
Okay.
right? Okay, so there's a line right here on the side here that you don't see.
Okay.
This line here, there's a movement where you don't actually pass this line. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. It's hard to explain because I don't have, but I'll have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
you.
No, but at least
Yeah.
your
And
idea.
yeah, and remember that in a fight, it's dynamic, right? It's
Yeah.
so many variables that will dictate what to do, where to go, right?
Yeah, but it's interesting what you said though. Like, you say like from a aesthetically pleasing, I guess, like they want to see, the triangle, all that. But like you said, Richarada is like, like Burton's told me, yeah, like this is your bread, this is what you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what he started me on.
The lutang is also
The hanging, yeah,
the lutang, the floating hand at the hanging, that's that's also can be also used in obviously in a long range application.
yeah. No, right. Everybody just think it's for like, but
Mhm.
uh, and Eckies too, right? Master Ricketts was in favor of that too, right? The Eckies footwork.
This one, the Ekis, the cross bands. Yeah. Very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
It had similarities with Sagasa, right? Right.
Okay, so we need that more for the generation of the power.
Yes, yeah. So you see the hips here, right? So you have the lutang, you'll see the movement, just simply moving back there. But once you have the Ekis, the hips come in.
Right. Okay.
And at the same time, the Ekis, if you're not careful when you do the lutang, right, you're resting. You can rest on your rear foot.
Okay.
So to spring back again takes a lot of time.
Yes.
With the Ekis, you can power forward very quickly.
Oh, because of the hip motion, just
you're kind of like cocked and ready.
Okay. No, I got that. Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
See,
yeah. Okay.
And sometimes when you do the Ekis, it's kind of like when you move back.
Yeah.
It's not like you're still perpendicular, like straight up. You're kind of like this, and boom, you fire.
No, I got it because you got a little projection going. I could definitely see where you're coming with that. Yeah, definitely. Just want to get because we asked a few days and he's got more, but again, we might have to part two because I want to definitely get some other stuff. But we talked about this, and I want to have this question because I thought it was this is something I've always marveled at and all that. How, like, to think his uncanny ability just to find gaps or the opening or how to expose just again people that were a quarter of his age or what have you. Maybe it's kind of two parts. So maybe if you can go into that, and then how does one begin to start to develop those attributes.
Right. Okay. So gaps, right? There's the distance gap. I'm sure that our guru David Gold very clearly says that. So closing that gap very quick, right? That's why you practice the retirada very quickly, right?
Yeah.
You build those muscles like a boxer, right?
Right.
Boxer can close the gap. A good boxer can spring forward really quick. It can close the gap very quickly. That's one way of closing the gap, right? The other one is creating, seeing the gap that you might not necessarily see, right? And it could be the closest point of the person's body to you, right? To be the hand, right? Again, like I said, if you were going to strike and someone was going to cock back like that and then hit, that there is a gap.
There's a gap, right, sure.
There's the gap, right? So that's the physical gap, and then there's the one where you create the gap, right? Where you feint, a guy tries to block it, and then there's the gap.
So he maybe commits to a defensive movement.
Yeah,
have you and
gonna block, and then boom, there's the gap right here.
Gotcha.
That's one gap, right? Yep. There's another kind of gap where, and this is now going into the mental side, right? Is when you get fixations. When your opponent is so fixated on something, I don't know, whether it be you or a strike or a portion of your body, and he doesn't see that he's open somewhere else.
Because he's been so okay.
So you're doing something and he's fixated, whatever, you get him fixated on something, and then you get him in the opening, right? That's another way of doing the gap. Like a pilot, right? So many instruments, but if fixated on one thing, that's dangerous, right?
Yeah, that's a good analogy, right? He's not even looking at like all the other
and the other one is what Tatang says is when you're sleeping. You're
just you got caught
okay. Bang, right?
Yeah.
Right? And it'll just hit you, right? So, like I'm just going to hit your hand. I'm looking at just trying to hit your hand, and you get hit.
Right, because you're so fixated on it, you left your head like right.
Well, right. And then there's the kind where you create the gap by moving a certain way, where the guy moves accordingly. He kind of like your dad, you lead him in some way where he twists a little bit too much. Now you're here, and the time for this weapon to get there takes too long.
Right, because of the position he put himself in.
Yeah, and the way you put yourself in because of that.
So that, if I'm not mistaken, just to kind of parallel with something Dave would say, I'm going to put you as center, or you're going to put yourself as center.
That's right. And you have to, and it's also, again, it's this thing, you have to measure, and as Master Tuper, Master Tony says, yung sukat is measurement.
Okay.
You have to, the measurement of where your shoulders are pointing.
Okay.
So so the center is always, the basic foundation is your center, right? And sometimes you'll see movements, if you just observe, someone will actually just maybe move their head a little bit. The center seems like they're in the center, but their body, their center point has already edged a little bit this way.
Okay.
You can move, and then you're just a little bit extra angle for you to move, and you got it. Right.
Just for that little nuance of just. Okay.
And also watch where you're. And if I'm able to put the center of my chest pointing against one of your shoulders, I've got you.
Right. Now, again, it's just stuff I don't hear or see in other systems until my introduction initially to all this, where I got a better understanding, was through, is and still is, as well as Bert and Guru Dave. You know what I mean? Just, just incredible. Yeah. So then, okay, all right. So the second part, how does, again, I mean, I have an idea, but I want the folks to hear from you. How does one go about developing this?
You got to spar. You have to spar.
Thank you.
There's no other way. You have to
Why
spar.
would you? Why would you want to spar?
You have to spar. You have to fight. You know, Master Cooper says this all the time. Said, don't always ask the same person to feed you. Start off with that. Start off with that. Start off with being fed by a short person, being fed by a tall person, being fed by a beginner, being fed by an advanced guy. Start with that. You'll already see differences in your movement and reaction times that are, hey, this is wrong.
Depending on their length, their depth of attack.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the only way. You got to get
like. I always seek out different, right? Because like just what you just illustrated. I mean, like different people, lengths, shortness,
different lengths of the sword, of the blade, right?
Yeah.
You know, you got to, and it because it's that sense of energy is the variance of energy is what will sharpen your consciousness, right? Okay, you'll be hitting someone just before he thinks he's going to hit you. That's the point. That's the whole point, right? And you know, the again in Taekwondo they call it, right, the art of interception, right? So
right.
But that's the only way to read the little nuances. There's some techniques like with the eyes, right? Again, like about fixations, they don't look like the tata will. That's why he has a desk there, because he's not really looking directly at you.
Well, the whole focus being the peripheral.
Yeah, because you react better with things that come from the side, right? And you move.
No, right. No,
the tunnel. There's that sense of a tunneling, and then that's it. You're not seeing anything else.
No. There's always been like you're on the. I mean, like exactly what you're saying. You know, Guru Dave still at me. Rely on your peripheral. You know what I mean? Don't. Yeah. Like you said, don't just sit there like
you look down and it opens up a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Kind of look to the side, right? And you're feeling, and it becomes that, right?
Yeah.
A lot of martial arts, especially in the internal arts, in the Kung Fu, have that, right? They have that. They train that capability of
interesting.
Your muscles are not moving you. It's your consciousness that's moving you.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like so I know we get all right. So one who wanted to kind of develop this, I mean, like you mentioned it, sparring, so you can get real time, real speed, and get the active developments going. But as far as drilling, is there a way, like in other words, where you could put these attributes in there with drilling? I guess where you have consequences. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah. So drilling's very important because it's that as I said, right? It's that when you have that word repetition, it's very much understated. It is so essential. Repetition, right? And I think this is common in all martial arts, but that's so. And of course, the right repetition. That's what the drill is about, right? Proper repetition. Proper repetition. And that's what the drill's for, right? Feel the different energy. People who come in for the first time, right? When you show them a blade going against them, right? There's a pause. So what does the drill do? The drill teaches you not to get afraid of things moving towards you.
Right, getting used to that.
Getting used to that, right? Getting used to it coming at you, right?
Sure.
Right? Because you know that in some cases, moving to the side is better than moving forward or moving backwards sometimes, right?
Depending, right? Sure, situational. Sure.
So, but again, getting used to the weapons coming at you, different energies feeding towards you. That's what drill's for, and for form, right? But again, you know, nothing beats sparring.
No, that's what that's what I get from Tom Soda's Burton. I mean, and done, obviously in a controlled manner where people are not getting hurt, where you can keep doing it, but nevertheless, somebody that's opposing your will, and all that. Yeah. Okay, I have another question. Actually, couple more, but Dave had a ton of questions, but I also wanted to do something live. So I'm thinking maybe one more question, maybe if you don't mind doing some stuff live, and then because I want people here. But this one question here: what are the core parts of the system, and how do you train them? So there's a second part of this, but that being the first part.
Okay, core parts of the system. Gosh, if there's many core parts, one is the footwork. Okay. Footwork is your best defense, like in boxing.
There, right? Yeah.
Right. Footwork your best defense. It's the footwork's elemental. Understanding the footwork for long range, understanding the footwork for medium and short range. Right. Lameco. Right. Lago medio corto. Right. That's corto. That's very important. That's core. And then fighting stance, very important. Elbow in, right? For long range, the thumb on the chin, like up. Shorter range, a little bit to the bottom. Live hand, thumb in the back this way. Okay, and then the blade, always the edge facing the opponent.
Yeah.
And when you block, always block with a flat part of the blade.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's just a couple of core things, but
sure.
And then the philosophy of a straight line is the closest.
Okay, right.
Right, and that's just a couple of just core things.
No, that was fantastic. Second part, and again, I'll let you. What are your opinions on the different factions? Not that that means they're bad. You know what I mean? I don't want to put you in a political juggernaut here, but not that just because there's different factions might not necessarily mean they're bad, but just your opinion as a generic state.
Completely. So what happened is Tatang was the sun, and everyone was the planets, right?
Oh,
and
I like that.
And the sun went away, the planets went like that, right?
So, that's a good one.
Okay, so that's normal, right?
Sure.
So as long as each of the factions, I really don't like to say them factions because they're all, I still consider them, friends, key ones, brothers and sisters of the art. They train and keep the integrity of the system, number one, and that's shown in their movement. Okay, number one, and just as important, they do it with integrity. Okay, and number three, they hold themselves accountable and always lift up their master.
As for their behavior and their students' behavior and what to instill.
Yes. Yeah. That's number one. They have to always keep themselves accountable to their master. They source why their teachings to the master or to the masters, right? And that's very important. Okay, keeping their students in check. You have 100 students. How can you keep 2 of them in check? I mean, these things happen, right?
Yeah.
Now, but it's still the teacher's responsibility that they came from the school. That's between him and the student, right? But those are the 3 things that are elemental. Is that they keep the core parts of the system. They don't change anything because it'll fall like a deck of cards if you do. The whole system breaks apart. And like what I said before, Dean, before we started, if you do that, that means you're gonna die if you fight. That's what it
If you
means.
change one card or move it, or
If you move it, it's okay. The whole system breaks apart. But what that really means is that you just increase your chances of dying.
yeah, right, right.
And number two is that they teach you with integrity. Okay. And number three, just as important, they also definitely always hold themselves accountable to their masters and communicate to their students that it comes from the master.
Right. So there's nothing gets lost in that, and
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
you're trying to learn respect and all that as well. If that's
Yeah,
being
yeah.
by the teacher,
Mhm.
so that's a good thing. Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question. Then I want to get a demo, and then anybody in your personal information, those who might, obviously want to, train with you, pursue you. This is coming from John Meir. He's actually really good guy. Are the movements of the Pinga dos Manos transferable to the two-handed Capellan movements?
Okay, so I have to admit I'm not very familiar with the initial style, but if he's saying dos manos,
Yeah,
there is dos manos in Kalis Illustrisimo.
correct. Okay.
Now the
Okay.
two-handed Campilan is kind of I can't show this. There's one person who's very good at this. Okay, this Master Yuli Romo.
I
Okay,
know.
if you want to learn,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
but
No,
the Campilan has this side here and this one.
yeah. That's what he's doing. Oh, that's what he's doing then.
You see that that thing?
Yeah.
You see? You see,
Yeah.
push. You see, and remember the Campilan is held by the Datu. So he's not. He's going one strike, one kill. Boom. Now
Yeah.
you may not have enough space there to hold both manos, right? But that's what it's there for, to help push and pull like that.
Oh, so if there wasn't enough room to actually get two hands, kind of
Sometimes,
here.
yeah. So you have that leverage there.
Oh, that's fascinating. You know what?
Right.
I didn't. Oh, wow. That's new. Thank you for that. That was
And the long range forward and then backwards, and then that's there. But again, it's long range movements. If there's any similarities, and since it's long range, a small movement to the side is a big deal at the end of the stick. It's a big,
because you got that long, right?
yeah. See,
Okay.
so that, and then another thing with the dos manos is you have to make sure that you're fighting, if it's a blade, okay, or even with a stick, that you're not fighting low, because you don't want to hit the floor.
Okay.
Get stuck. So you're always kind of high and then swinging it,
Oh, so you're not going to run into getting bound up like in the
you
ground.
you don't hit the ground. So
God, that would be a problem, wouldn't it?
and the power, and that's where you really have to make sure that you got your hips working properly, because that's where the power will come.
So you can really generate that.
Actually, a nice warm up.
Yeah.
Getting students to start off first with using the dos manos just to get the hips moving.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to work there because I have a cup on. Just what you're showing me there with Yuli's thing. That's pretty neat. Yeah. So all right. Well, then, what would you like? I'm gonna leave this up to you, because I think everybody's gonna enjoy regardless of what you show. So I'm gonna leave it like whatever you want to show us.
Oh gosh, yeah, you have to ask a question. There's a couple of I don't really.
Okay. How about you show?
I'll turn the light. Yeah.
Just how about basic Amara, just from within a count or something?
Okay. So, this is a basic one, but this is long range. This is a middle, sort of like a medium range movement.
Okay.
Okay, because the long range, I'll disappear from the camera.
Okay. All right. Right.
Sure. So this is a foundation. Let me just start here. Yeah. So you'll see Tatang warm up doing this. Okay, you see him doing this, right? See?
Okay.
Right, and then and what it is pretty much almost like the depondo.
Okay.
Depondo kind of anchor.
Yeah, correct.
It's practicing the parries. Okay, so you'll have what they call the estrella, which is like this.
Okay.
Now use the blade so you can see. See, it's this way. And notice, like,
Yeah. Okay.
so, right, this is, and this comes with the movement to the side, by the way, okay? So I'm not, if there's a tack that's coming in horizontally here or to my elbow,
Okay.
right? I don't just sit still and do this.
Right.
Okay? Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dissipate the energy by sliding across his blade, reducing the energy and moving to the side. Now that when I move to the side, if I actually just let go, it'll pass me.
Oh.
Okay? So that's why they made the footwork's important.
Yes.
So already doing this, I'm safe. Right? See? But so it's Australia coming here. And then see my elbow is in. If you look this way,
Correct.
not like this. That's
Correct.
the Nocho helping too. That's one. That's Australia. And then the second part of this one is doing the sumbrada, right? Right, which is now coming in here. I just simply lift this up and go here. Okay, so there it is again.
Okay. Yep.
You see,
Okay.
it has to be above your head. See, I've seen people do this. That's not. So these are the little nuances, right? And then elbow in again. Notice that?
Yes.
See? Okay, from here. So that's 1, 2. Okay, and then 3. Sorry, you can't see it now. 1, 2, and then from here coming in and then doing the sombrada from the outside.
So would that be construed as sombrada or pluma or just
pluma is what I'm pulling in between.
When you're pulling in between the pen. Oh, okay. The finished product is other product. Okay.
Okay, that's a little bit more intermediate what I'm doing, but you can just go 1, 2, down, then up. But so again, from here, so Australia, and then another with the point facing this way, right? And then coming with the pluma, and then coming here with the point facing the other way. Again, look.
Okay.
Above the head.
Gotcha. Yep.
The head. Check hand here. Very important. Okay, that's very important. This one here, not here, but here.
Okay.
And that has its own, style. So that's from here. I just do 4 up here, right? But by the way, I'm stepping forward here.
Okay.
And then here, I do the cruzada going from the bottom.
Oh, and then to lower. Oh, okay.
So that's just 1, 2, pluma, 3, and 4.
Got it. Okay. Just for the viewers, on the first one, Estrella series.
Yeah.
You're going here, you're putting your hand in. Naturally, you want to make this a fusion. So if you had to, you could immediately grab and all that. Am I correct?
Yeah. There's a lot of applications with the live hand here.
Yep.
So if you're talking about the live hand part, just solely. So let's say someone's coming in with this sort of movement.
Okay.
You come in and you can actually grab him and pull. That's one.
Okay.
Okay. The other one obviously is with the blade. See?
Okay, short and long. Okay, yeah. Okay.
And then that's the blade to the body if you're close.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you can also do blade to the hand here too, to his wrist. Right? And then you can also either poke the eye, right?
Yeah, okay. Right.
In general, basics, and Master Trooper will say basics. And by the way, so it's coming around, and then just rest your hand. Just for now, rest your hand there.
Right.
That's just, and you got to get the form. I mean, strictly for form. Look at you see this, how it's at an angle?
Yes.
Because if it's like this and it's hard, I'll get hit.
Right.
See? Those are the little things that you have to be careful. I mean, so, just, not like that, as it's.
No, I can definitely see. Yeah. No, right. You have it on an angle, palm in. Yeah.
So that's it. That's there. One. And then, so that is your question. That's a lot you can do with the live hand here.
Yeah. No, just for the viewers, but no, yeah, absolutely. And no.
But
that would be basically one of your. basic warm-ups per se, or just some more?
With the warm-ups, well, there's one to you mentioned the pluma, a nice exercise for it, right? So the pluma is like a pen, right?
Correct.
So pluma is like, I'll step back, it's like that. See, notice that what I can do, I can go really close to my. It's very straight. See.
Yeah, that's right. That's why I had to do the forced wrist articulation. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you get that? And I don't open my hand up.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
It's always a wrist. See? Always closed. Relax, like holding an egg, but when you fire, there's the trigger, right?
Mm.
Boom. See? So from here, it's closed.
Right.
Okay, and then what you do is one of the things you do is you just do this halfway, right? And then you just pull.
And pull them to get, that's
just get that, soften this part up.
Yeah.
Just pull it.
That's what I was doing. For my wrist, just to get for me personally, to get the wrist articulation.
Yeah.
I would really.
And then see how all my fingers are still wrapped around. It's not like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep that and then rest, right? While you're watching TV.
Yeah. Right.
There. So that's just a couple of warm-ups there. Right. Always good to try to make sure that when you do the pluma, right, that it's coming in when you practice 12 o'clock, always.
12 o'clock. Okay.
Right, because it can easily be blocked.
Yeah, 12. Right.
And it's possible when you do it, when you come up, when you do the pluma, it has to be straight up 12 o'clock.
Okay.
And then 12 o'clock down. 12 o'clock up, 12 o'clock down.
Okay, fantastic.
See? Okay. That's that whole straight line philosophy, right?
Yeah, no, getting there direct. No, absolutely.
Again, that's what I'm saying. Once you have that, you can't. If you change any of those key things, those key philosophy,
you're dying. Yeah,
you know.
Potentially. Well, this has been absolutely fantastic. I want to thank you so much for coming on. I definitely would love to have you on again, especially when you start, in teaching. But before we get off and all that, where can folks, like, if they wanted to get a hold of you, via whether it be social media or your YouTube? I know because I just subscribed to your channel. You definitely got a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, that was old school. My gosh, I
enjoyed the stuff on there.
That was
it was like 2011, 2012, circa.
Pardon?
The stuff I saw on there was 2011, 2012, circa.
Yeah, that was Australia.
Yeah. Canada, but it was, I don't know, I thought there was some,
Yeah, that was, Yeah. If someone wants to get a hold of me, they can go through you, of course, number one.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. They can email me if they want to. VikoPerrine@gmail.com. That's VI.
So Viko.
VIKOPERRINE.
Okay, got it.
At gmail.com.
Oh, Gmail, easy enough. Because I'll be putting this stuff down. Gmail.com. Okay, and of course, Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
And is there any? Okay, so I'll put the YouTube channel down. So is that kind of the best way? The Gmail.
Yeah, Gmail, Facebook. That would be the best way.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I hope this was enjoyable as it was for me. I really enjoyed this.
Dean, I want to give a shout out to my brothers.
Yes, you got to do that because
all over the world. I've got the Luneta gang, Coach Arnold, Nico, right, Anton, TJ, Master Elmer, Boy Garcia, Duran Sordo. I mean, my brothers in Bakbakan. Miguel Zubiri, of course. I've got. There's a ton of them.
Yeah.
JM Castillo. My gosh, Miguel Silos, Monsur del Rosario, Rafi Montilla. They're just all brothers. Just want to, a lot of who I am and what I know right now is because I've sparred with them, and of course, the reason why I chose to do this, Dean, is because I really want to promote the masters who I think.
You can tell your sincerity.
Yeah,
Everybody is talking
need
to me
to
about you
back
and
to
nothing
basics.
but other things. So.
Back to basics, Master Tooper. I want to know that anyone, you've got Bruce and Brandon Ricketts who are in the Philippines right now. Brandon's got, I think he's doing private lessons in Manila, right? You've got, Tom Ditang, Master Tom Ditang in Canada. You've got Raul Marquez in New York. You got Pete also in Manila. Casey in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So many just good folks that I want to know.
Up there in Vancouver.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Grandmaster Tom Ditang. I mean, if you really want dynamics and
nothing but incredible things about him.
Yeah. If you really want to feel like when I talk about sparring with people and feeling their energy, you have to you feel his energy, and of course the Meko brothers, Dino, Guru Dino, of course David Gold, Bong Hebia, Bud Delaney, all those guys, they're all brothers in the art. Yeah. So.
Wow.
That's it. Remember, again, Bakbakan is a brotherhood. It's not a martial art, and that's to be valued. All this faction stuff. People have to remember that everybody was in the same roof.
At one time. Right.
Cool.
Well, again, this was wonderful. I'm actually going to be in touch with you because I got to get down there to see you, or we're getting you up here. One of the two. So.
Sure. It'd be my pleasure.
But again, thank you so much for coming on. I truly, truly appreciate it. It was fantastic.
Thank you, Dean. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you. And
all right.
I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, guys. Okay.
All right, brother.
Bye.
Bye. Well, hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I thought that was great. Next week, I actually have to think who is coming on next week, but I'll have that information. But if you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe. Again, to grow this community, you can't do it alone. So I need everybody. Okay. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.